again, friends. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Shani. If you're new here, welcome. And to my regular watchers, I always appreciate you. If you're watching and you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do so. I would really appreciate it. On the menu today, let's make these delicious apple pies. Let's get started. So here in the bowl, I just have some flour. We're going to go ahead and make our crust first. I'm adding in a bit of sugar and a bit of salt. And I also have some ice water and my cubed cold butter. So I'm just going to go ahead and whisk in the flour with the sugar and the salt. And then I'm just going to go ahead and add in my cold butter. And your ingredients need to be cold for you to get a very flaky crust. So what I'm doing is just getting these cubed up butter into small fine breadcrumbs. So I'm just rubbing them between my fingers, and at this stage they do resemble breadcrumbs. So I'm just going to gently pour in the water in here, tablespoons at a time, and you don't want to get any of the ice cubes in there. So with this dough, you're not going to want it to be wet. It's going to be in a crumbly form, and it may seem as if it's never going to come together, but trust me, it will. So you just want to go ahead and get that together. So in total, I think I used about 8 tablespoons of water. So here I'm just getting it on a plastic wrap, and it's crumbling, but that's okay. Just use the wrap to just close it, pull it in together. And you want to see those nice big specks of butter in the dough there. That's what you're looking for. And when those bake up in the oven, those are what releases and give you that flaky crust. So I'm just going to go ahead and place this into the fridge for about an hour or so. You need that much time, and if you don't use it right away, you can put it in your freezer and then let it thaw when you're ready to use it in your fridge. So there we have it. So now let's get on to making our filling. So here I have some Granny Smith apples, but you can use any firm apples. I have some lemon, I have a bit of sugar, these are tart apples, and I also have some cornstarch, I have some water as well, and I also have some cardamom powder, I have some cinnamon, I have some salt. So you can just spice up your apple pie the way you like it, but those are some classic spices, and you can also grate some nutmeg in here. So I'm going ahead to just remove the skin from my apple, and I think I made my apples stay too long before I got to them. They're not as firm, but this is fine. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to be dicing these up into small dice. And so I'm just going to cut away from the core itself right there. And then I'm just going to go ahead and quickly chop up the rest. So in the meantime, I have a water on the side in a bowl that I've squeezed some lemon in so that the apples don't start to oxidize before I'm done with them. So make sure you don't skip that step. So I'm just chopping these up finely. If you're gonna make like a huge apple pie, you would just slice these down in thin wedges like this before you chop them up, and that would be perfect. Alright, so here are the apples. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and sprinkle on the spices that I just told you, and squeeze on some lemon as well. And even though the apples are tart, the lemon does help to make them a little sweeter. So I'm just tossing that around, and if you think you have too little cinnamon, add more. So in a pot on the stove, just add a little water and then the sugars, and I'm just gonna let these dissolve. You can add a bit of butter here if you wanted to, but I have so much butter in my crust, I'm deciding to leave that out. So add your apples in now, and these just gonna simmer for about 10 to 12 minutes or so on the stove until they soften, and then I get a thick sauce. And so I cover this up for a few minutes, but don't walk away from it too much when it's covered. So this is good. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and add in the cornstarch with a little bit of water, and I'm gonna stir this around. And then when it's done, it's a nice thick consistency. You want to let it cool in your fridge. And then here are our crust. So I'll just work with one at the moment. And then this is the mini bowls that I'm going to be using. So sprinkle on your work surface a little bit of flour. You want to make sure that your dough does not stick to your board. So I'm just pressing down the sides here to help me prevent the cracking as I'm rolling it out. And you can certainly use store-bought. I'll be using store-bought in 2 of the pies as well, just because I want to check the texture and to see how mine hold up. So now I'm just rolling this out. So I'm just going to go ahead and roll this out a little bit bigger than the container that I'm using. And this amount of crust that I made is good for 2 9-inch pies. You can do the bottom and the top with this recipe. Or if you're going to make hand pies, this could probably make about 6 hand pies for the amount of dough that I have. So this is what I like. You have those big flecks of butter in there, and like I said, that's gonna help to give you a beautiful crunchy crust. So here I'm just using one of my cookie jar covers, but you can use any cover that you have, any shape cutout that you have. And so I'm just going ahead and putting it into my pie dish here, and I'm letting some of it hang because as it cooks it'll shrink a little bit, and I want it to have enough crust and not too much shrinkage there. So this is good. So now I'll just go ahead and get the rest done. So I'm just putting this one in as well. This is the other half of my crust that I'm putting in here, and it's a little thick, and I did enjoy that so much when I made my pies. So here is a store-bought one. It's much thinner than mine. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and ladle in my cooled filling. You want to make sure that your filling is cooled. Like I said, you don't want it to start melting your butter before you get it into the oven. So go ahead and put all of the filling that you can. I like to fill up my pies with the filling for it, you know, to be full. So now I'm just adding on the top of it. Now I'm just folding it, the top crust over the bottom crust, making sure to seal the edges as I go. And then I'm just gonna do a little crimping on the side there, just for a beautiful decorative look. Go ahead and do that, but you can use the fork to just press it down. And then I'm just gonna make some slits in there. I couldn't decide what design I wanted to do, so that's what I just did, a couple of slits in there, and that's gonna help the air to come out of the pie so that they don't crack in the oven. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and do a lattice for the next one. So here is my homemade dough that I just rolled out, and then I'm just cutting into these strips so that I can make the lattice for the pie. So I did 2 of the traditional covered way and then 2 of the lattice way. So you just want to go ahead and put your strips on, and then you just want to intertwine them, 1 up, 1 down, 1 up, 1 down. This is not hard. This is really easy to do. Anybody can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. You know, that sort of thing. That's it. So just go ahead, and this looks good. So next I'm just gonna go ahead and crimp the ends as well. I want to make sure that I fold down those strips as well into the other bottom crust, and then I'm just gonna squeeze the ends the same way I did with the other one. And there you have it. So now I have an egg wash, which is just a little bit of water and my egg whisked up, and then I'm just brushing it onto the pies here. That's gonna create a beautiful brown crust. And also we're gonna sprinkle this with some sugar, so it makes our sugar have somewhere to hold on to. If you don't put any wash on there, the sugar won't stay. So just go ahead and brush all of the surface of your pies. Next, just go ahead and sprinkle on, I just want to say about a teaspoon of sugar on each pie, but you do you, it's perfectly okay. So I've preheated my oven to 400 degrees. So these are gonna go in there for about 20 to 25 minutes until they're nice and golden brown. And there you have it, like magic. This beautiful apple pies, perfect enough for your holiday, perfect enough for your Sunday at home, and it's just the individual size. So I've just added in some vanilla ice cream, which is the best way to eat this. And let me tell you, I was in heaven, absolute heaven. So thank you guys so much for watching. Bye now.